ladies and gentlemen, allow us to start this on officially. We're going to have some good time here. We're going to have some good laughter with me and a few people that have brought on board. We're going to have real talk by young manufacturers and the older manufacturers. By older, hatumaanishi ya kwamba wewe ni mokoro. Tunamaanisha ya kwamba umekuwepo kwa muda mrefu zaidi ya wengine. We're going to have a really, really good time. We're also going to have a panel that has already set up here, just so that they can take us through some teeth and bits of what we are about. Right about now, allow me to welcome our CEO to give her opening remarks, set the agenda, and then we can kick it off. Miss Phyllis Wakiaga, KAM CEO. Alipata memo vizuri. Jamani. Anapendeza pendezi? Anapendeza pendezi? Wapi makofi ya CEO? Is it you who designed something for chairman?
Definitely.
Yes.
Yes,
I can see your hand.
Looking, eh? You can see my hand?
Yes.
That's good. Good evening, everyone. You guys look lovely. Let me wear my glasses. I see everyone properly. Please tell the person next to you they are looking great. I think they interpreted Sally's theme quite well. When she told us we should look edgy, everyone was, what is edgy? But tell everyone that you're looking edgy and looking lovely tonight. And then on Otoyo's second request, please take a selfie with the person next to you and post it and tell everyone that you are the WIM dinner. Our hashtag is breaking the bias. So please take a selfie, share, now that I confirm that everyone is looking good. But thank you so much for joining us this evening for our Women in Manufacturing dinner. This is something we do every March, and we try and do it at the end of the month, because I know since the beginning of March, everyone has been attending different events, so we save the best for last. So thank you so much for joining us. Allow me to recognize, I know I'm the one who introduced selfies. You can take them, but a bit quietly. Allow me to welcome the guests who are joining us tonight. We have the EU Ambassador to Kenya, Ms. Henrietta Geiger. We have the German Deputy Ambassador to Kenya. Thank you for joining us, Mr. Thomas. We also have the COMESA Secretary General, who will be joining us virtually. She's Ms. Chileshe Kapwepwe. We have my friend, Ms. Anne Kabugi from IFC. She's the Regional Gender Lead. Asante Sana. We have the men in the room, our chairman, Mushai Kunyiha, Hitesh Medirata, who is one of our board members, accompanied by his lovely wife, Shelina. Thank you for joining us. Other board members present, sector chairs, chapter chairs. We have our chapter chair from Nakuru here, Paris. Thank you. All our members, we really appreciate that you've joined us here tonight. I also want to appreciate our sponsors, because without them, we would not be doing this. So we have GIZ, the representative. If there's anyone from GIZ, please wave at us. Thank you so much. We have BAT. Thank you for your support. Thika Cloth Mills, Tejal, if you're in the room, thank you for your support. We have Capwell Industries, that's our vice chair, Bidco Africa, Safaricom, IFC, Kenya Airways. If anyone is in the house, please wave. We have Obao, we have Kenafric, we have Coca-Cola, and we have CKL Africa, Mushai's company. So thanks a lot for all your support. I think this dinner is really because of all the support you've given us over the years as our sponsors. So I want to quote Michelle Obama, who is the former First Lady, and she says that there is no limit to what we can accomplish as women. And I think for those of us in the room, that is what we have continuously demonstrated. And tonight we want to have an event about making space for the next generation of young women in manufacturing, and Sally will be moderating an interesting panel at the end. So in terms of manufacturing, I think women are not necessarily excluded from manufacturing, but the reality is they remain underrepresented and undervalued. And as the association, one of the things we embarked on when we set up the Women in Manufacturing, KAM believes in something called evidence-based data. So we did a research just to check what is the state of play for women in the manufacturing sector. And The survey we did, I think, just basically brought to fore what we knew, that women were underrepresented, and that's something that we are really trying to look at addressing. But one of the things we saw is that there's a significant link between the GDP of a country and female labor participation. So basically, the estimates indicate that there's a 25% reduction in the gender gap. If you reduce that and have more women participating in the economy, our GDP globally would increase by about 5.8 trillion by 2025. So that basically means that the gender gap is holding back the whole world from growing its GDP. And the main thing is really that, first of all, women do a lot of work that is not recognized or paid for. If you look at things like caring for children and the caring roles we play in society, a lot of that is not factored into the GDP or recognized. And also, with women participating less in certain sectors, it does affect the outcomes in terms of the GDP. So basically, our study showed that the gaps in the labor force remain, but we are seeing more women joining entrepreneurship, which I think is a number of you in the room. And it's a clear indication that as women, we are eager to explore the new and uncharted opportunities. And we are seeing this growth actually in manufacturing and value addition. We are seeing more women venturing into steel, building, and the construction sector. And some of them have been able to supply major projects in the country. We're also seeing women getting engaged in hard-hitting sectors. And that basically means that you're then able to have better capital investments, more profit, and better returns. We're also seeing women taking a lead in manufacturing companies. A number of manufacturing companies are led by women in automotive, in chemical and allied, in furniture sectors. And this growth, I think, has really become an inspiration to many of us in the room. So therefore, manufacturing is a viable career for women. And one of the things we are working on as the association is skills development. And GIZ has been our great partner in that. Because not only is skills development helping us to create a sustainable way to get into the job market, but it's also helping women to transition from the informal to the formal economy. And we're also seeing the nature of work changing, which means we need to embrace the fourth industrial revolution. And that linkage with skills and industry is playing a great role in enhancing the fourth industrial revolution. We are seeing a need to upskill young women in science, technology, engineering, arts, and mathematics so that we can create sustainable jobs. And more than ever, we are seeing more women participate in STEM subjects and get involved in manufacturing. So as the Kenya Association of Manufacturers, we are keen on encouraging young people to stand out, to identify opportunities, to grow their skills, and also to work with technology and innovation within the sector. The other big thing, of course, is Industry 4.0. And before COVID-19, things were a bit slower than they are now. But after the crisis, I think we did see the impact of technology and how it can really carry us through and take us to the next level. In the past, we've seen industrial revolutions inspired by the need to fulfill upcoming needs like mass production and high speed. We had the bulk movement of people and goods, and this really drove people to imagine and innovate, and it led to a lot of mechanization in agriculture, transport, and manufacturing. The disruptions we saw also in the global supply chain due to COVID also led to a lot of industries having to innovate and fill the gaps that had been created. There was also automation leading to enhanced efficiency and productivity and cost reduction. As we look at Industry 4.0, we see it also as a great potential for implementing sustainability, which is a growing concern in manufacturing industries. The integration of intelligent and smart systems and digital technology has led to new management approaches and capabilities. So for young women wishing to venture into the manufacturing sector, and I know there are a number of you in the room, the Industry 4.0 provides an avenue for skills development and enhanced learning as you use artificial intelligence, Internet of Things, and other things. Also the opportunity in e-commerce. I think one of the studies showed that during COVID, the number of women-owned businesses that got into e-commerce platforms was quite large in the country. So I think it really does give us a competitive edge as women. Therefore, we must build momentum so that we can embrace digital technologies. So allow me to speak a little bit about the Women in Manufacturing program and to convey the apologies of our chair lady, Miss Mary Ngechu. Mary lost her dad and he'll be laid to rest tomorrow, so she was not able to join us today, but she does send her regards and she asked us to celebrate ourselves as women this evening. So the Women in Manufacturing program has a number of areas that we focus on that we want you to take advantage of. The first one is the Market Access Program. This program is to provide market access to small businesses through trade fairs, exhibitions, and conferences. The program will enable you to enhance the use of e-commerce and e-commerce platforms so that you can access wider markets. The other program, and we do have the leaders from our committees. Emily is a leader in the committee, and Gasheri Thuku is somewhere in the room also, one of our leaders in the committees. The other one is the Business Maturity Journey Program. This program is supposed to help businesses grow through a diagnostic hub that provides a proper view of your business and also help you have navigator tools to go through the business maturity journey. We have a scaling up program also to help businesses scale up by offering activities related to subcontracting, adoption of technology and data, and linkages for growth. Another program we have is the Financial and Investment Linkages Program to help link businesses to affordable financing, education on general financial literacy, supply chain, credit cycle analysis, and investment. And then lastly, we have a Creating a Business Sustainability Culture program, which is to assist businesses to anchor business ethics and development plans on sustainability. So this will basically help enhance your ESG programs. So today was not a day of speeches. We hope to dance at some point. So allow me to conclude. As women, we are making great strides in steering the growth of the global manufacturing sector. And as a country, any conversation around increasing our competitiveness without looking at women involvement in this conversation echoes in a hollow chamber. By increasing the participation of young women in industry, we directly and indirectly seek to achieve our overall economic goals in terms of increasing employment opportunities, in advancing skills and innovation, and also providing financial security, not just for ourselves as women, but for our families and society at large. So thank you all for joining us, and I look forward to dancing with you at the end of this event.
Hi, everyone. Hi to everyone sitting on that end. Hey, how you doing? Thank you so much for coming this evening. Firstly, Captain, I want to say we are reclaiming this word umama. Yes? Who's with me? Yeah, because we cannot demonize it forever. Let us reclaim it today at the Women in Manufacturing Gala Dinner 2022. Please clap. It's not a bad thing. Mimi ni mama and I am proud. Na sisi wote ni wa mama and we are proud. Na kila mtu akona mama and they are proud of their mother. Sindio? Yes. Secondly, we have 20 or so minutes with this really wonderful women. And as I begin, I realize that you only came here by name, so thank you. So I just want to give a little bit of a brief about each of them. On the far end, I have Ms. Tatu Gatere, who's the founder and the founder and CEO of Build Her. And she's an environmentalist. She's an environment enthusiast. She's one of the people whom I have seen really co-opting the idea of circular economy in her business. What Tatu does, she opens a space for young women from disenfranchised communities, and she trains them in construction and manufacturing, and then she puts them on a pipeline for them to go and get hired by other companies. So she does that, and she gets support from various people. And full disclosure, I'm also on Tatu's board, but that is not why she's here. But welcome, Tatu. We also have Miss Margaret Komen. Margaret, I've been to your factory so many times in Eldoret. I really like coming there, despite the fact that I'm always coughing, and you tear, like you start tearing, because Margaret makes chili. Before you get to Margaret's factory, at the gate, it's tear gas. But she's really like one of the most successful, I think, women manufacturer exporters of chili in this country. Tafadhali makofi. Yeah? She's doing really wonderful things. She's a graduate of food science and technology from the Technical University of Kenya and a postgraduate from the university, from Karlsruhe University in Germany. And she's an expert, yes. She's actually received a lot of support from GIZ. I think you will speak about that. She's an expert in applying entrepreneurship skills as well. I think one of the things that I remember, aside from the success stories of how Margaret has built her company, one of the things that I remember going to her company is whenever we talk to her about the challenges that she faces as a female entrepreneur, because we always ask this question, Kwenny, what different challenges do you guys think you face other than men? And you people have to actually stand there and say, but isn't that like a question that answers itself? What do you mean? So Margaret has once, I hope you don't mind, she's once told us that there's a time she was really harassed by government officials so badly, like she never wanted to see any government official at her factory. Wakikuja, anawasha machine. You know, when us guys go, the machines are off and we are still coughing. So you can imagine when they come. So anyway, that's what we are resorting to. And I think we are here to also say that we need to find solutions so that this is not the way that women react to government officials and to regulations. We need to find a way to accommodate women's businesses, especially the ones now who are in the informal sector. If Margaret, who is exporting, is doing that because she's been harassed, imagine that mama who's trying to start her business at home. So we need to change that. And then last but not least, definitely, Florence Kamaida, founder of Pad Heaven. Florence Kamaida actually does a lot of things, but she's also, she's also the founder of Pad Heaven. She's been a manufacturer for 8 years. Her Pad Heaven initiative is a social enterprise that produces washable sanitary towels for schoolgirls and cloth diapers. And she's a Mandela Washington Fellow, Yali 2014, a Vital Voices Fellow 2015, and a recipient of the Heroes Award by Nation Media. Yeah. So karibuni sana. I was told I sent a lot of English in my briefing notes to you. You're saying yes? Okay, I'll reduce the English. So allow me to just go straight into it. Sorry. I'll start with Tatu. Tatu, at what point did it occur to you that things need to change in the construction and manufacturing industry? What was your light bulb moment?
In 1 minute or less.
In 1 minute or less.
So I'm an architect. That's my background. I studied in the US and then came back to Kenya. I was trying to push my career to understand how to make money and follow my passion. Somewhere in between that process, I started to notice that the buildings we're constructing, it doesn't matter how carefully you design them. When you go to site, there's always a problem. So I began to ask the question, who exactly constructs this building and how do we prepare them for it? So during that whole process of questioning, I shifted careers because I discovered that most artisans in the construction sector are informal workers who come from impoverished areas, slums, settlements, whatever you want to call them. So I became curious as to how artisans are empowered, how they live. I wanted to be a part of that journey. So I changed my career. I went to work in Kibera for 3 years. I was constructing public spaces with an organization I was helping manage there. And during that process, I launched training programs for youth, men and women. So I was so happy with myself. Here I am, an architect trying to make a difference. But the funny thing was, in these programs, the men always stood up when you asked, who wants to learn this? Who wants to try this? The women were always at the back of the class. They want to learn, but they're not pushing themselves. So I found myself spending most of my time at the back of our training programs, speaking to women to ask them why they're not pushing themselves to learn. After 3 years, I took a break just because I was an architect who was in Kibera. I didn't know what I was doing. And during that time, someone approached me to launch a program focused entirely on training women for manufacturing and construction. And for me, the moment was, if you're not going to step up, yes, it's confusing for my career, but if I'm not going to step up and try to answer this question, who exactly am I waiting for to answer? So that was my moment.
That's amazing. Thank you, thank you. Thank you so much. And I'm sure architecture had a lot of money, yeah? So for you too. Oh, that is, okay, you will comment.
It depends.
Okay. Florence Kamaida. So manufacturing sanitary towels, how easy has it been for you or when you started? And has it made it easier for us as a country to start talking about issues of menstrual health management where it matters?
I started in 2012 because I saw a need. I was doing some donation drives where we all contribute money to donate pads. But then I was thinking, why are we not producing pads here? Why is it so expensive? Why is it so inaccessible to young women? Even women who are working cannot even afford the pads that we have in our stores. So I decided to research and find out what it will take me to produce sanitary pads. I approached Kirdi. I didn't know what it took because I knew I'm a woman, I use pads all the time, but I knew it was something soft and something absorbent and something waterproof. I thought it was easy. So when I went to Kirdi, I worked with a scientist who taught me how to make the pad itself. And I thought, that's it, I can now make pads. Then I discovered we don't have a lot of the materials that I used to make pads. And all these importers who bring pads to Kenya don't use pads. They're actually men. All the importers, I did a survey in 2016, all the importers who bring pads in Kenya are men. They don't use pads, and so they just bring pads, and KEBS will just test based on if it leaks, right? So we've had problems with importers who bring pads that don't serve women, and I thought I would actually bring that change and make pads for women here. Like I can make pads for this community, they can use, they can give me feedback, we can perfect the product, and it will be a product made by women for women. Like right now, we are facing challenges where an importer has brought pads that are making women itch, have rashes, and when you're giving them feedback, it's just a matter of, oh, it's your problem.
Yeah, that's been quite a heated conversation.
Yes, and the MD is a man, and he told us the pads are fine, they've been certified. And we asked him, how many times have you used these pads yourself? You know? So we tried to make pads with Kirdi, but then it was too expensive. It will cost you over $1 million to actually set up a manufacturing company in Kenya to make pads. So then I resorted to make the washable sanitary pads because there are women in some community who actually just use cloth pads and other pieces of materials to contain their flow. So I decided to, as I work on this, I can actually make the washable sanitary pads for these other women and make them in a way that it's a community-based project where women actually make the product for themselves. They will use the product, they will actually give feedback, and then they will actually now rectify the product if it needs to.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Margaret.
Yeah, okay.
How are you?
Fine.
Exports.
Yeah.
You've done that for a bit now. What do you think it would take to have more women go into export markets?
First and foremost, I think many women, there's no magic in export. I think if you do domestic business, you can export. The bottom line is making sure you have established standards and certifications. And I remember when we started exporting, we were trying to ensure we met the EU requirements. And then when we entered the domestic market in 2009, I was thinking, do I split my factory into EU standards and then Kenyan standards? Then I realized, why don't we just formalize the whole business, get governance in place, get the standards in place, get the systems and processes. So export is not really magic. You just have to decide that I want to globalize my business, and that's it. And you apply the same standards across the board, and you'll export. Somebody asked me today, how could you do it? I said, you people are lucky now. 20 years ago, there was nothing on internet. There was no information of how to do export. There was no office to walk into. And I was telling them when I wanted to register my company, I walked into the Ministry of Trade, and they told me, export, go to the Foreign Affairs. And then I read the Foreign Affairs. They said, go to, they sent me to 4 ministries, and nobody knew how export was supposed to be done until I bumped into a lady somewhere who told me there is an office called Export Promotion Council. I come from Eldoret, from the village there, and go to Anniversary Towers on 13th floor. And I went there, and I was told I have to see a certain lady, and she was very busy the whole day. And I sat in the reception the first day, and I was told, come back the following day. The second day, and a gentleman who had seen me there just asked me, what are you doing here? I said, I'm waiting to see so-and-so. So he went and photocopied a piece of paper and told me, you want to export? There are the requirements. So it was really hard. But I'm one of the people who embraces and acknowledges technology, because so much has changed now. It's very possible to do it.
Yeah.
It's very easy. You'll be dealing with very different problems.
Yeah. Well, thanks for that. I'll go back to tattoo very quickly, and remember you're doing it in under 1 minute. What is the unique thing that you think Gen Z is bringing to the world of work? Like, I'm asking you because you employ a lot of young women. A lot of people, I assume, are from school or haven't made it to maybe a tertiary level or want to make it to a tertiary level. They have a lot of opinions on work. I don't know what your experience is on what unique thing they bring to the world of work.
I'd say the first thing is we have a lot of things in common all across the generations. We want to be fulfilled by work. We want to make money. We want to have security. So it's important to understand that, so that when you're faced with a situation that you're not understanding what's happening, you can always say, at the end of the day, there's something this person wants that I also want. So that's been helpful. I think the unique thing for me with Gen Z is how focused they are on values. They're not working for money. And so that's going to be confusing to someone who's a millennial, because even millennials, but still there's a bit more focus there. Or even a boomer. I don't think a boomer would understand a Gen Z person. But the whole thing with the drive of values is, for an employer, is tapping into what that means for you. And the positive thing is it calls you to question why you're doing what you're doing and how. So we all read the articles, because I'm sure many people here are my age, 40 above, You have these young people who come work for you and they're so confusing. The articles tell you they care about values, they don't care about money, they want to contribute, they want to question, they want diversity, they want inclusion. But for me, the thing that articles don't tell you, which I wanted to raise, is what Gen Z is looking for. Because we all know the unique thing they're bringing. We read about it because we are confused. I think what they are looking for a lot of the time is guidance, because you have experience they don't have. You've gone through things, the way you're expressing how you went to offices when there was no network, no resources. I feel like they are looking for guidance on how to apply their values to real life situations. And if you can tap into that, then it helps your business, it helps your organization perform at a real level and contribute every step of the way, because they're questioning you.
Yeah, that's true. And if they have questions about you as a boss, they start a TikTok movement. You trend, you've seen horrible bosses, hashtag, everybody has been going there to check if their name is on there. I mean, yeah, they're changing how we look at leadership, I think, also. So that's something. Kamaida, did you as a young woman starting find a community that would guide and support your growth? I think Margaret has given us a version of how she had to go through finding her own way. But did you find a community to support you?
I actually found a community of more confused manufacturers when I started, because we were being incubated at QD, so we were all manufacturers trying to figure out. We're not scientists, but we're learning materials, we're learning chemicals, but we don't know what all that means. So we're all confused in one room. And when we were starting, of course, there was no WIM. You're trying to pay taxes, you're trying to pay licenses, then you have to join KEPSA, you have to join Kenya Chambers of Commerce, you have to join KAM, and all these fees. I think KAM was 50,000 joining fee at that point. So you're like, am I supposed to pay licenses here or join KAM to get a supportive group of manufacturers? So if you're not on Facebook to join a group of manufacturers, you're there confused with other manufacturers at the incubation center. The only good thing is that what I applaud the government is they supported us with technical expertise. We had the scientists, and then we had also the project managers would come around and assure us and just make us feel that we are not crazy, like our ideas were not crazy.
Yeah.
So at the beginning, we were all confused, but at least now I can see things have changed. Like there are communities that are willing to support young manufacturers, take them up, and support them with product development, show them the way, like marketing, where they can get market for their products. But back then, we had nothing. It was just zero.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, so Margaret, what needs to change for discrimination against women who run businesses to stop?
I think first and foremost, there should be deliberate and tailored support for women. Like what WIM is doing is really fantastic. It never existed before, so it's focusing on women. I think there should be financial solutions focused on women, products for women in manufacturing.
Thank you for saying that. There's some banks in the room. I hope you've heard that, because we'll be coming around with a microphone for you to say how you're supporting women. Thank you, thank you.
Because when we go to those banks, we are just evaluated exactly the same with the others. And I think there is more that we bring to the table, because we are not only in manufacturing, we are wives, we are mothers, we are doing all the rest before we come and manufacture.
That's true.
So we should be given the special space.
Yeah.
So that tailored support, accelerator programs that target women. I have been a beneficiary of some of them, and they are quite a number. It's not easy to find them. And the associations that are like KAM and others are now doing a very good job to that. So that should now be promoted and supported much, much more.
How did GIZ support your business?
Oh my. I walked in and I saw Moses. Munuva, I've worked with Moses a lot. GIZ, I think we started with GIZ way back in 2007 when they brought in a program that was under Bosch, and they were looking. Sometimes I tend to think it's because I speak German and I studied in Germany, but I try to remove that from my head. But we benefited from a project that was done by Bosch, and it was done lean manufacturing, removing waste. And from there, once we established the contact, I never stopped looking at those opportunities that came. And so we've benefited in the last 2 projects, the Business Scouts for Development, and I don't remember the name of the other project. They've supported us with human resource, HR audits. You know, the issue of people in business is really big. Yeah. So they've supported us in that, and all trainings about finance, marketing, all that kind of stuff.
So kudos to GIZ, and GIZ has also played a really big part in making today possible, so kudos to them. We look forward to seeing more and more support for women in manufacturing. I know you guys are passionate about that. So final round of questions to each of you. I'll start with Florence. What do you do when you come across mansplainers in your line of work? And maybe you can say what mansplaining is for anyone in the room who doesn't know.
So the product I deal with is more women-oriented. It's okay for men to sell or manage such products, but when you complain about, I'll tell you a case. There's a gentleman who brought me a pad this size, and he asked me to distribute to girls in schools, and I was asking him, what is this? And he said, it's a pad. I asked him again, what is this? And he said, it's a pad. So I asked him, what is it supposed to do? And he said, I thought it comes from a small hole. It's just supposed to be this small. And he brought in a whole container, and he told me he'd used 5 million shillings from China to make the products and bring it. And I told him, that is the worst 5 million you've ever spent, because no one will ever buy that product.
Yeah.
Because they have the money. A lot of decision-making decision makers are men, where I go to maybe look for funding or maybe look for support. They're men. And then the ones who can afford now to go and bring a container from China are men. If they only involved a woman and ask, what do you need? What needs to be adjusted? How big do you want it? How small do you want it? So this guy just brought a whole container. So I just told him, I think you can use it for something like serviette or, because this is not being used anywhere here. And then the other MD who said, our pads are really fine. And it was a court case.
Yeah.
And he said, and we asked him, how many times have you used it for you to tell us it's fine? So they don't listen to women. And we sometimes you're forced not to be rude to them, but just ask them, why can't you just use the women around you to ask, how is this product? a lot of men also don't talk about menstruation. Like that MD could not talk about
Yes.
periods. Didn't
It's-
even know
yeah.
how long periods last.
Yeah.
But here you are selling a product for women. So where, like in the industry I'm in, like the product, it's really, really hard because everywhere you find it's men.
Yeah.
So the mansplaining is like an everyday thing, and you have to correct them until you just get tired, and then you're like, I want to look for women who are dealing with sanitary pads, and then we can talk.
Yeah. There are some teachable moments and some not
That's
so
some
teachable.
you just give up. You're
Yes.
like it's
Okay.
not my fight.
Completely
Yeah.
understood. For tattoo, when you started, maybe when you had your difficult moments or when you had your second guessing moments, what is that thing that made you get back on track and say, I'll continue to do this, I'll continue to build her?
I think the first thing is my stubbornness. I am incredibly stubborn. So when I would walk into offices to explain what I was trying to build, an organization that trains women in construction. Construction, like what type of construction? I'm like, like carpentry, joinery, painting, decorating, tiling. They're like, women. Then they call their friends, come listen to this story. So in those moments, I would just, first of all, I was the only woman architect in my class, so I wasn't unfamiliar with men always overlooking your ability, So that didn't faze me. But during the moments when they were laughing, I just imagined how confused they would be. Because now we've trained 290 women.
That's amazing.
Yeah,
That's amazing.
So thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So I imagined how confused they would be in 5 years when there are like 500 plus women in the construction world, and they're asking, where are these women from?
Yeah.
And then my stubbornness was, like raising grant funding, because we're supported by grant funding at this point. When I would go and explain to donor partners and try to get someone to pay attention, and they're not understanding what you're talking about, or how are you going to go against the TVET problem? Because many TVET schools have been trying to get women. So every donor who supports TVET understands how hard it is to do that. In that moment, I just thought, out here, there must be somebody who has tried to understand why women are missing, and they're looking for someone who wants to answer that same problem. So I didn't focus on trying to provide a solution. I focused on trying to find partners who wanted to face the same problem. And I think that's what entrepreneurs should just focus on, is don't fake that you're providing the solution if you're not sure. Just be sure in the fact that you're willing to knock on that door till something happens to create an impact.
Okay. I think that's really, really good advice. And I think for Margaret, I also kind of want to ask you the same question, like your younger self. Now that you're here and you're exporting and you're just like, my God, there's no even competition, I'm just killing this. Like, what would you tell your younger self?
Let me correct you, this competition. I would invest in people very early. When I say invest in people, don't run the business alone. Don't do things yourself. Start investing in people. Start investing in a team, because you will need a team to be successful. There is nothing as horrible as being successful and you're alone. It's a very lonely space. Secondly, I would deal with the imposter syndrome very early. I don't know if you know what that is. It's the fear of failure. It really overpowers you, and it takes your time for a very long time. For almost 15 years, I was in this woye moment, where you're just feeling so sorry for yourself and you don't think you're able to do it, and you're hiding, cowering somewhere. I wish I had just come out earlier and done what I was able to do, because I was a leader in school and there was nothing that was really preventing me from doing it. And finally, I would pay it forward earlier. I think when you're doing business, you should always look back at the community around you and see how they benefit from what you're doing. That is the only time you'll be appreciated and supported more. So pay it back forward earlier.
Oh, that's amazing. That's amazing, amazing, amazing. I think our 20 minutes are up, but I really appreciate the words, the insights from each of you. I look forward to a time where you won't have to really explain that what you're doing is manufacturing, because I remember you were once on a panel and you really had to defend that what you're doing is manufacturing. I really look forward to a time where you won't have to sit in a boardroom and be the only woman. I think And also look forward to a time where women won't have to be measured by how strong they can persevere things. I think you've all seen the story of Ketanji Brown. It's like one of the most fascinating stories this week. And she was nominated as the 116th Attorney General for the Supreme Court in the States, or something like that. They've never had a black woman before, and so her interview process has been grueling, to say the least. Like, she's had to sit there and have people ask her things that probably they would never ask anybody else. But everybody is congratulating her for how strong she has been. And I think I saw a quote, somebody saying, it's really violent to expect somebody to be strong when you're walking into their factory and insulting them in their face because ni mama. You know, it's a violent act to expect that person to just be quiet, you know? So I look forward to that time. And I think we have great leaders ahead of us. We have people who've set the tone for us. And thank you all for being part of this community. Asanteni sana.
Starting us off to discuss, to run 5 minutes of a topic that he's personally chosen. He'll introduce the topic and let us know how he'll take it down. I don't have to hint. Mambo ambayo amepanga kuyazungumzia. He's a gentleman who ensures that we are all safe. Lawyer by profession and our chair at Kenya Association of Manufacturers. Please help me welcome Mr. Mushai Kunyiha for the first time. Hana Suti for the first time. Jabani. Mr. Mushai, kindly.
Thank you.
Chukua muda wako.
Okay, thank you.
Ni dakika 5 tu. Microphone yetu ya neck iko sawa?
Okay, good evening, everyone. Yeah, nice to see you all. For this, I've just started. Nice to see you all for this evening. I think this is my third Women in Manufacturing dinner. I think it's the third one I've attended. And I always tell my team, this is the one I'm most nervous about of all the KAM events. The first one is because there's a very stringent dressing requirement. And I'm being sent messages, it is like this, even photographs. I'm told that this is allowed. This is not allowed. And then, of course, it starts with us, the panel before telling us, no mansplaining, please. Please don't explain to us. And we love to explain. That's what we're here to do. So it's an interesting thing. But great to see all of you here, all dressed up and happy to celebrate women in manufacturing and the things that we do. So I'll keep it short, not just because of the MC's threat to me, but also because today we are here to also listen and to engage and to participate and to escort our women in manufacturing as they celebrate the achievements that they've made in the years past and today. So thank you very much to the panel as well. Those were fantastic stories about things that they are doing. I think as we talk on our theme of making space for the next generation of women, the thing that gets to me about manufacturing in total in Africa, not just in Kenya, is our real need, our real goals, our ambitions, and how far behind we are with them. In Kenya, we want manufacturing to be 15% of our GDP. In Africa, we are still struggling to feed ourselves. We are still struggling to supply ourselves with even essentials. I think you heard the stories about the pads, that we don't even supply that for ourselves. So we have a big, big challenge. And when I think about the whole gender issue and women in manufacturing, it's about if we have these big challenges, then we must all come together to resolve them. We cannot hold back any resources, which include our people, to achieve our goals. And we have a young population. People are looking for jobs. The young, like we've heard from Build Her, people need jobs. And we cannot start saying that we will not build our manufacturing or leave half of our population out from building our manufacturing. We must all participate and participate together in growing manufacturing and our economy. I think a word of encouragement also, a brief word of encouragement for the women: participate in the manufacturing as well as you are coming in. And I liked what the panel was saying. When you come in, just the other week we were listening to Ellen Johnson Sirleaf, the first African female president, and she was saying, women, when you come in, be proud of who you come in as. Do not try to come in as men. There are enough men, yeah? And there are enough men to give us the men story and so on. So bring your uniqueness and your perspectives. That's what we need. That is what is going to help us build together. So your own perspective is going to help us. It is a resource that is necessary. And from the story we heard about the mansplaining and so on, is that, you know, the men, they don't know. There are things that they don't know they need to be told. So you're not telling them, you're not sharing them, is holding us all back. So bring those stories so that we can all move forward together. That is the goal that we are looking for. I think, finally, just to say, like, I like this example. I think I heard it first from Simon Sinek. He says, like, you know, this thing is not a competition. Whenever you're talking about diversity issues and so on, it's about a collaboration together. Because he says there are some places where there is no winning or losing. It's like in our families. If you have a fight with your spouse, with your children, with your parents, who wins? Is it about winning? If you think about your whole family, it's not about who is going to win more or the other. It's that we are all going together. And the idea is that we all work together to try and grow our manufacturing. Because like I said, we have big goals, we have big aims. We are all working together to try and grow this manufacturing space. As you know, this is also society in flux. We heard the stories from the panels. People need to understand what we are saying about the gender inclusion because it is necessary, it is important. And for that to happen, we must all work together and help each other understand the new roles and the new requirements that are going to happen. I think I like somebody said the cooking, the changing diapers. And why is that just a woman's role? It should be everybody's role. But that is a conversation we all need to have together so that we are all at the same table, growing our country together. So looking forward to hearing the rest of the women talk to us and tell us a little bit more about manufacturing and how we can help grow and build that. Thank you very much.
You still have 17 seconds left. You can stand here. Let's appreciate our chairman. That was nice, short and sweet. Then what was the bell for? Kama watu watakaa na dakika 4 na sekunde 43. We are safe. We are safe. We don't need the bell. Itoe kabisa. Next speaker, kindly allow me to invite on stage the Regional Gender Lead Africa, IFC, Madam Anne Kabugi. Miss Kabugi, kindly.
You know, I was listening to the panel and I couldn't help thinking, there are a few things we shouldn't be splitting hairs about. Like if a part works or it doesn't work, you know, does it give us rashes or does it not? We shouldn't, because women know what women want. And I just thought if that man had actually consulted his wife, or just imagining she's at home, or the women in his office, he would have saved how much money? It's really that simple. Anyway, all protocols observed. It's a pleasure to be here, and thank you so much, Phyllis, and the whole team at KAM for inviting us. We usually don't find ourselves in events like this, but we feel pretty much in very good company because we've been working with KAM for this year and last year, working on a program that I'm going to talk about a little bit later. And I have the team from IFC. It's a bit tough when you're trying to mobilize people who don't leave their houses for the third year in a row. So I have Angela Karaoke. She leads our Access to Markets program. We have Simbi. Simbi is the backbone of the Africa Gender team. She makes sure that we are meeting our deadlines and we are towing the line and all bills are paid and all programs are on track. So Simbi is our analyst for the regional team. And then we have Charity. Charity supports our advocacy work. By the way, you've got a lot of PR agencies. My background is PR, so I know a lot of them. But if you're looking for efficiency and effectiveness, you need to talk to Charity. So she's working with us and helping us push more word out there, especially around the business case on why companies need to work more with women. Sorry, my phone is refusing my... We have a very tough job when my team and I, when we talk to private sector companies about why they need to invest in women. Because a lot of companies will ask you, what is the need for me? Why do I need to think about women in leadership? Why do I need to go out looking for them? A lot of them will say, we don't find them even when we look for them. So we have invested a lot of resources and built a lot of alliances to first and foremost prove and strengthen the business case and tell companies why they need to think about women. Whether we are talking about women in terms of access to finance as entrepreneurs, whether we are talking about women in leadership as workers and employees, or whether we are talking about women as customers. For instance, our Banking on Women facility that Chairman was just now asking about, where is the money, where do we give all these women in this room money? We've been at it for a very long time, and as a result of the work that we have done, we've been able to prove that women are better payers than men. And there's no question about that. Last month, we finalized one of our annual research pieces that we undertake with our bank clients, and we surveyed around 133 banks. And what we found out is that across all their lending portfolios, the women-owned business portfolio had lower NPLs than total SME portfolios, as well as those owned by men. And that was even lower when you looked at banks that actually had a strategy to reach women and that actually actively went out and looked for women as businesses as well. We are moving this work towards insurance because we think insurance is a super underexplored market opportunity. So we started with a global research that showed us there was a 1.7 trillion opportunities for insurers. Now we're starting some work here in Kenya, and the very preliminary data is showing that just 6% of women, I don't know how many we are here, but 6% of women hold insurance outside of NHIF. And most of those are employed, so the employers, it's part of the benefit. So I can't just help but imagine what access to insurance would do for the businesses represented here in terms of making them more bankable. Because when you go to banks, you're told, no, those businesses are very risky. What have you done? What have you insured? What if an insurer went out and said, I'm going to look at women-owned enterprises and how I can help them get insurance and move them closer and closer to some form of bankability as well. We also believe in the work that we do that partnerships and alliances are critical in accelerating progress and also helping demonstrate impact. So we come together as development finance institutions, whether it's mobilizing financing or just getting together our convening power to get more businesses, more companies to come together. Because we can only work with one company at a time, but if we come together, we'll be able to scale up, impact, and demonstrate success as well. Our program in Kenya is one of our flagship access to markets programs, and it specifically focuses on women's access to private sector procurement. Now, globally, and I see our partners, We Connect here, their work globally shows that just 1% of private sector procurement globally goes to women-owned businesses. Now, in the thick of COVID, as we were kicking off the Sourcing to Equal Kenya program, we went out and we undertook local research. We spoke to over 500 SMEs, both male and female-owned businesses. And we also spoke to companies and tried to dig into their purchasing budget, what sectors do they buy from. And what we found out is that just 3%, and we spoke to some of the biggest buyers in the market, just 3% of procurement budget is going to the women-owned businesses represented here. I want you to think about the purchasing budget of the top 10 companies listed on the Nairobi Stock Exchange. How much is that? And how much is 3%? And we also looked at where are women represented in the procurement operations. Those 3% were actually not tier 1 suppliers, so they were not holding the big ticket, high value contracts. So most of them were actually supplying to tier 1, so they were tier 2, etc. And we started asking ourselves, what could we do to be able to move more women into accessing contracts, but also move them up the ladder so that they're tier 1 suppliers and they're getting the high value contract. So Sourcing to Equal is trying to address those constraints, both from a demand side of things, where the buyers, i.e. the corporates are, and the suppliers as well, to see what are the challenges on both sides and how can we try and reduce that gap. And what we are seeing with businesses, a lot of the businesses that we're working with, is that they're quite savvy when it comes to gender inclusive leadership, workplace policies, women in management, etc. And they're working towards that, although gaps still are there.
Our actions on gender are guided by the Gender Equality Strategy of 2022 to 25 and the third Gender Action Plan, which we call as GAP 3. One of our key commitments under this plan is to ensure that at least 85% of all new actions will contribute to gender equality and women's empowerment by 2025. The EU will seek cooperation in a Team Europe approach, jointly with member states, and I acknowledge the German on the table. Priority areas of work in tandem with the government of Kenya will include to improve access to quality, youth-friendly, sexual reproductive health, and the dissemination of information, for women and youth participation in politics and decision-making processes, to support the government's efforts to eliminate gender-based violence and other harmful practices, to promote and protect the rights of children, to improve skills, economic opportunities, and reducing the digital gap, to provide more equal access to information and basic services, and finally, advancing the women, peace, and security agenda. It is when we support all sectors that we can see real change. Today, I note the manufacturing and private sector, a core sector. The Women in Manufacturing report of ICRW and KAM in 2020 lists 5 recommendations. And just to show off, it's on page 37, just to prove that I've read the report. We need now to act on all the implementation thereof, taking into account the COVID era and its devastating effects. There's lots out there. The Kenya National Chamber of Commerce and the industry and the actions on women in business is another example. Supporting women to successfully venture in the business sector and highly value small and medium enterprises and micro and small medium-term enterprises are key drivers of the Kenyan economy. We must equip women and create tailored and innovative financial products for funding. Women's startups in non-traditional manufacturing. These are all crucial components to drive the economy. Technology and innovation needs to be embraced for enhancing productivity and production at all scales. We are pleased to support your efforts, KAM. And as chair of the Development Partners Group on Gender that the EU now holds, we have a role to ensure that we include all stakeholders and provide an advocacy platform, a learning and exchange module as we all work towards achieving gender equality and in women's empowerment in this here today, the manufacturing sector. We must all work towards achieving our gender parity goals. And I can tell you that we at the EU and as Team Europe reaffirm our commitment and our support to these efforts. Thank you very much indeed.
Because we are okay with KAM, Kenya Association of KQ. Mulikujaje kabisa na Kenya Airways ikakuwa KQ. Lakini ni sawa, bora tufike salama. KQ representative or KQ? KQ? They're here? Kindly join us. Kindly join us. Kindly join us. Kindly join us. All right. Thank you. All right. What's your name, my dear?
Sandra.
Your name is Sandra.
Yes.
Unafanya na kampuni gani?
Isuzu East Africa.
Nyinyi hamjaletwa hapa na Uber?
Tumeletwa na Isuzu.
Oh. Ni sawa. Isuzu East Africa. What do you do for them?
I'm the person responsible for planning and strategy for the organization.
Wow. Ona vile kina dada wamewekwa kwa nafasi nzuri. Jamani, nafasi nzuri. Na ninaambia madada zangu someni, hawasikii. Someni kwa kijiji wana. What's your no, tuachane na hiyo next level. Sasa, tuachane kabisa na hiyo next level. Patia Odiero microphone pia. Odiero is Luo for mzungu. Odiero is mzungu. People call you mzungu all the time?
Sometimes.
Sometimes. Niulize ile story ya nguo kama megongwa ama niachane nayo.
I don't even know why I'm laughing.
Nakumbuka Thomas hakupenda sana mambo ya bei.
I just pretend to understand, right?
Ni sawa. I wanted to ask about the price, to know if she was hit. Kujua kama aligongwa. Hiyo kizungu hii kama tena si ya international school. What's your name, my dear?
Yasmin. Yeah.
I expected something Ferguson. Nini. A complicated name. Yasmin.
Yes.
That sounds like a Kenyan name.
Maybe, I don't know.
You are Kenyan?
No, I'm Austrian.
Okay. No, he's Germanese, you're Austrianese. Austrianese. What do you do?
I'm a director of Obao together with Misha over there.
Okay. Famisha, say hi. Ulisikia vile Isuzu walipiga nduru? Mmeona vile wazungu wamenyamaza tu?
I just pretend that I understand what you're saying, right?
No, no.
So I'm just laughing.
Nimekusifu wewe. I have seafood you.
Still pretending.
Sioni nikiitwa kazi tena KAM.
Oh my.
Kabla niitwe tena nitaambiwa kuja na kizungu, tuongea tu kizungu peke yake kwa ofisi ndio tujue Phyllis. Ninarudi shule.
I'm being roasted, right?
No. We're okay. Yasmin and Sandra, here is Kenya Airways, the pride of Africa. They will personally tell you what you've won, where you're flying to, how long your ticket. Mnasema jenda ingeingia? Mnauliza kuhusu nini watu wa Isuzu? Oh, huyu Sandra aende holiday na Isuzu. She does not have to fly. She works for Isuzu. Wewe rudi ukae chini. All right, KQ, kindly take it away.
Good evening to everybody. Yes, so the Pride of Africa is proud to today present the winning ticket to Sandra and Yasmin. So the ticket that you're going to carry with you is taking you to
Mombasa.
Yasmin is all brimming because she knows what's going to happen at the coast. Huh? Have you been to Mombasa? Awesome. So that's where we're going to be taking you on our flights. So you will come to our office when you're ready to fly, then we will book your ticket. Yeah?
For how long does this last? They have to do it next week?
No.
Next week but one?
No, we usually give you about 6 months. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you have to find a reason to go to Mombasa, Yasmin. Sandra must have relatives in Mombasa. Yeah, ako nyumbani. Sandra is at home. Miss Kebogi, ni kama hii kitu inakuchoma. Sioni ukifurahia kabisa. Hauna furaha hapo ulipoketi. Unashindwa, Kenya Airways imenipita tu hivyo. Na niko na mkutano Mombasa next week. All right, here we go. Yasmin and Sandra receiving. Let's have a nice photo there. Let's. Thank you so much. Miss Phyllis, kindly join me. There's an official letter actually. You kusema hakuna kugongwa. There's no hitting. There's no hitting. Hakuna kugongwa. Please allow me to invite my friend, Dr. Gasheru Ndhuku. Dr. Gasheru Ndhuku, not Ndhuku. Dr. Gasheru Ndhuku is the founder and CEO of Sheth Naturals to come and do closing remarks and a vote of thanks at the same time. Karibu sana. You look lovely. Super good. Kindly.
Thank you, Captain, and thank you for ensuring we have the stamps. Those are 3. We'll deal with Kisumu and Nyeri later. When Miss Phyllis stood here as we were starting, she said, you guys look lovely. I just want to confirm that as we finish, you look even lovelier and edgier. It's a wine, huh? Thank you. The EU Ambassador to Kenya, represented tonight by Ms. Mita, Ms. Henriette Geiger. German Deputy Ambassador to Kenya, Mr. Thomas Wimmer. COMESA Secretary General, Ms. Chileshe Kapwepwe. International Finance Corporation Regional Gender Lead, Africa, Ms. Anne Kabugi. KAM Chairman, Mr. Mushai Kunyiha. KAM Board Directors present, KAM CEO, Ms. Phyllis Wakiaga, members of the association, our sponsors, ladies and gentlemen, thank you all for joining us today for the Women in Manufacturing Gala Dinner. Pivotal moments in history have brought manufacturing where it is today, and women have played an important part in the sector's evolution over the years. Building the next generation of young women calls for more than role models. We need active mentors, access to tools that shall drive their growth, and above all, an enabling business environment. Through the Women in Manufacturing program, we shall continue to advocate for formulation of policies and regulations that promote inclusivity within the manufacturing sector and steer women-owned businesses to scale up and realize their potential. It is imperative that we all work together towards ensuring the manufacturing sector maximizes its potential for sustainable economic growth and prosperity. I'd like to appreciate the government and all its relevant agencies for their support towards the growth of the sector. To the KAM leadership, thank you for the support you've accorded us thus far throughout our WIM activities over the years. To our members who always take their time to support and participate in the WIM program's activities geared towards enhancing inclusivity, we thank you and urge you to keep doing the same and keeping the same spirit on. To our speakers tonight, thank you for honoring our invitation to speak to us this evening. I would also like to thank all our guests for taking time to be here with us today. To our sponsors, GIZ, BAT, Thika Cloth Mills, Capwell Industries, Bidco Africa, Safaricom, International Finance Corporation, IFC, Kenya Airways, Obao, Kenafric Industries, Coca-Cola, CKL Africa, Redland Roses. Thank you for making today's event a success. We look forward to more fruitful engagements in the course of the year. And finally, to the KAM Secretariat, we appreciate you for the effort put in to make this event a success. And because I love stories, before I finish, allow me to say a story that is told. There is something about Nigeria today that we'll keep referring to. Sorry to the gentleman. But a story is told of a wealthy man from Nigeria who lived in a village. And because we are Africans, and when we celebrate anything, whether the beginning of life or the end of it, we love to gather together. People would gather to either give their condolences or celebrate a new life. And this gentleman would always send his money to the event and never show up. And so one day he lost his son, and people sent him money, and they never showed up. And he stayed day one, day two, and on the third day he couldn't bear it anymore. He went on national radio and said, allow me to say I am sorry for the times that I sent in all the money, because right now I have the money and I have no one to be with me. What I'm saying, ladies and gentlemen, is you'd have sent us the money and not showed up. Your coming here is it is an honoring moment for us. Thank you. As women in manufacturing, we are honored to have hosted you tonight. Thank you for making it. Thank you for making the event beautiful and for making Sally's theme look so beautiful on all of you. And so, once again, thank you for joining us today. God bless you. God bless WIM, and God bless KAM.